Welcome, I'm JayDreamerZ, and I just found out that the Georgia Guidestones have been destroyed. Looks like they had been blown up. One of my viewers actually left a comment and let me know that this had happened. And I've spoken about the Georgia Guidestones a couple of times, and it is an interest of mine and a topic that I like to look into. So I thought I would open up my phone lines today. And I feel like this generates a lot of feeling in many of you out there, because I know it generates a lot of, feelings within myself and different thoughts. So I'm going to share with you some things about how I feel about it. And then I'd like to hear from you all as well. The phone lines are going to be opened here in just a minute. First, I just want to talk about the Georgia Guidestones. What are the Georgia Guidestones? Okay, well, it's known as America's Stonehenge, right? And there's a huge controversy over this, and there has been since they were put up some time ago. They essentially sprang up out of nowhere. You know, nobody knows exactly who erected them, who created the Guidestones, and there's a big problem because the Guidestones give these instructions to humanity, to the whole world, sort of like they've been called, compared to the 10 Commandments in the Bible. So we're going to take a look at those real quick, and then I'm going to take some calls. I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. I also do have the chat open. It's good to see so many people in the chat. I know there's going to be a lot of different perspectives and thoughts on this, and that's okay. That's all right. You know, everybody walks their own path. I will be sharing my perspective and my thoughts on this as well. So the Georgia Guidestones have been blown up. Just to clarify, it seems like it was only like one of the main pillars that was actually destroyed, from what I can tell. So not all of them. Somebody had said like, oh, they weren't destroyed. You know, only one pillar was destroyed. I'm going to say destroyed because if I break a leg off of a chair and it has 3 legs left, the chair is destroyed. You know what I mean? But yeah, it wasn't obliterated at the atomic level or anything, but it was definitely blown up. You could tell. Or blown apart somehow, right? Let's see. So I'm going to do some sharing here. First, let's check out what exactly these commandments are that some groups out there have a problem with. I want to focus on the first one because that seems to be all people read. Seems like the attention span is so terrible these days that people can't even make it through all 10 of these so-called commandments. But let's take a look at the ones that people tend to have an issue with. Mostly it's just this first one right here. Let's see. Now how do I get it down more? Gee whiz. Okay, so the first one here says maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. So this is the main commandment that most extremist people who have jumped down the rabbit hole of conspiracies without a tether, this is what most of them have a problem with. Extremist religious people, a lot of political people. So it says maintain humanity under 500 million. Well, if there's 8 billion people in the world right now, the big problem, if I understand it from these groups, is that they're taking the current world conditions, which is what we do so often, right? We apply our current world conditions to a scenario instead of understanding that there may be different world conditions. So basically they're saying, oh, if there's 8 billion people and they're saying to maintain humanity, the population, under 500 million, then by extension, what they're saying is that all of the rest of humanity, that this is suggesting that they should all be killed, that they should be exterminated by whoever, right? And that this supports genocide. I wondered about that. When I first read this, when I first heard about the Georgia Guidestones, I always wondered about this first commandment. Then I started learning about languages and etymology and learning how to understand messages from the past that have been given to us to decipher in the present day. And in doing so, I also learned that we need to take into consideration context. Context means what it is, what the message is surrounded by, what else goes along with the message. So if this is truly saying some malevolent message that everyone should be destroyed and only a few people should be left, then the rest of the commandments, I would assume, should follow suit. So let's check out the rest of these. Let's see. It says guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Okay, so if this is some terrible group that is wants everyone to die or whatever, the second commandment right after the first one is talking about improving your health, your fitness, your diversity, being wise. Okay, let's check out the next one. Unite humanity with a living new language. Well, this is discussed in many ancient religions and texts, specifically the Bible, where it talks about how there was a time when we all had one language, and it was known as a living language. It was a language that was shared commonly between people and animals alike. It's called telepathy. That's my opinion on it, at least. Rule passion, faith, and tradition, and all things with tempered reason. So they're saying instead of just allowing your passions to rule over you so that you make decisions without really thinking it through or weighing it out, or because you have a certain belief system, your faith and your traditions, just because you're used to doing it a certain way, you're used to seeing it a certain way, you're used to living a certain way. It says, don't allow these things to rule you, but allow these things with tempered reason. It means balance these things out, and to be balanced instead of being extreme. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Does this, we're going to read all the rest of these, but I mean, come on. So far, does it sound malevolent? Does this, it all depends on your perspective. I'm sharing mine. It doesn't sound malevolent to me. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Do we have petty laws in the world today and useless officials? Yes, we do. They're saying to avoid that. Okay. Balance personal rights with social duties. Okay, so they're basically saying to be considerate, to consider your fellow man and woman. Prize truth, beauty, and love, seeking harmony with the infinite. They're encouraging you to be harmonious with God, with nature, with the universe, whatever you want to call it. And then last but not least, it says, be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. And then they repeat, leave room for nature. We have pushed nature aside. Mankind, humankind has taken over. These are the 10 commandments of the Georgia Guidestones. I'm not finding any problem with them, even the first one. I think maybe people only read the first one and they say maintain balance, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. And here's an example of what the Georgia Guidestones look like. So there's 4 of these sort of pillars coming off of a central beam or column. And each one of these pillars has the same 10 commandments that we just read, written in, I think it's like 12 or 13 different languages. There's Russian, Chinese, Arabic, Hebrew, Sanskrit, Hindi, Swahili, Spanish, English, Egyptian hieroglyphs, classical Greek, Babylonian, cuneiform, and more. Now, some people were asking, like, which one of these pillars was destroyed? Okay, well, I believe it was the pillar that had the Swahili and the Hindi, which is just across from the Spanish and English, or it's in between the Spanish and English column and the Hebrew and Arabic column. So apparently somebody had a big fat problem with the Swahili and the Hindi version, it seems. Or they just tried to blow up all of it, and just one of them ended up falling. I don't know if it was blown up. I don't know how it came crumbling down. I don't have images or anything. This is all just breaking news to me. Because I don't watch the news, and thankfully I have some viewers that keep me informed on what's going on out there. All right, so this is the main one that most of these groups have problems with. The second that this was erected, right? It's in the middle of nowhere. It's like, basically, to many of us, this is basically in the middle of nowhere. It's not anywhere near, like, popular places or anything, but people have come here from around the world to visit, to check it out, to take pictures. And this is the first one that most extremist people, I'm going to say, I don't know what else to call them, they have a problem with this. Maintain humanity under 500 million. Listen, it says maintain. Maintain means keep it at that. If we were already at that, we would be able to maintain it, right? So this says maintain, which means once it gets to 500 million, maintain it, or less than 500 million, maintain it, keep it under that marker. It doesn't say reduce it. It doesn't say reduce humanity to 500 million. So why have so many people jumped onto that bandwagon? It's because we've got these various groups that a couple of decades ago were just so against the Illuminati, and the Illuminati are trying to reduce the world's population and, murder all of their slaves worldwide, which doesn't make any sense to me either. But yeah, it says maintain. So I offer this, and I have always offered this. Being that we have read this in context, all of it, right? All of these commandments, and we put all of the commandments' context together, I have seen that the context is implying that this is supposed to be something that is positive and helpful, and it's a guide stone. It's here to guide humanity, right? I have not seen anything malevolent. I have not seen anything indicating that whoever erected this stone did so in order to try to support genocide worldwide. I've researched this thing a million times. I haven't come across that ever. Just that first one taken out of context seems to be repeated over and over and over. So these groups of people have visited many different times and have put graffiti all over this. It says things like, "You will not succeed." Succeed in peace and harmony and living language, and really? Oh, they only read the first one, right? You will not succeed. And then they assumed what the first one meant instead of studying, instead of researching. This is what happens whenever you jump on the bandwagon and you just get so excited that you allow that excitement. People catch on fire when they hear something new. Oh, it says maintain under 500,000. Some random person is like, that means they're going to kill everyone. And then that's all that is stuck in the people's minds. They haven't even done much research on it. It says, they're blaming the New World Order. And this is another problem that I have when people are saying like, they're trying to create a new world order. There is one already. They don't need a new one. This one is going to fall. Good news, I would say, right? But people are scared that there's going to be a new one, a new world order or whatever, right? And that this is a part of their plan. Listen, if they planned it out to take over the world, and they didn't want people to know that was happening, why would they put this up? Why would they engrave this and alert everyone as to their plans to take over the world? It doesn't add up. It doesn't make reasonable sense to people like myself. The New World Order. Some people have gone and they've tossed oil. I think they've tried burning it a couple of times. Let's see. They want 80% of us dead, is what this one says, this graffiti. That's not what it says. That's the interpretation. Do you see the problem with allowing any old person to just interpret things and then share it with the rest of the world however they see it? It's destructive. Look at this, right? This person, whoever vandalized and ultimately blew up the Guidestones, are trying to send this message. Well, what's the message? Without actually reading any of the words or anything, the message is destruction. That's what they represent. That's what this vibration, this frequency represents. It represents destruction, destroying things, death to the globalists. I mean, it literally represents death. They're trying to accuse this marker of representing death, and yet they are drawing that they want others to die. That's what they represent. The action proves the intent. Right? You can look at it and see it right there. That was not written by somebody who is loving and giving and trying to add to the world. F the NWO. Here's a picture of it destroyed. I got this one off the internet. So I don't know, if here, let me zoom in on it so you guys can examine it and check it out and stuff. But as you can see, this one right here was completely eradicated. Someone in the chat said that they live nearby, and I guess if I read that comment correctly, that the government came in afterwards and allegedly destroyed the rest of it because it was a danger, or it was already, compromised or something. Let's see. And then here's another picture. Okay, cool. Let's see. We got bushwhacking history in Buffalo. Is Jay defending the Guidestones? No, Jay is defending reason. That's what I'm defending. I'm not defending the Guidestones. There's nothing to defend. It's just a bunch of rock. I'm defending being reasonable, rational, wise, loving, caring, intuitive. That's what I'm defending. Okay, let's see. What are we going to do? All right, let's open up the phone lines. That's what I'd like to do. Let's go ahead and open those up. Okay, cool. So the phone lines are on. Doesn't matter if you agree with me, if you don't agree with me, you could totally call in, right? If you are one of the types of people that's just going to like curse and yell because you think the Illuminati are going to kill everyone, be cool, or I'm just going to hang up, basically. But we'll take a few calls. We'll see how it goes. Chad Johnson says that Jay is tripping. Why? Let's talk about it. See, it's really easy to cast accusations at people. It's more difficult these days to have conversation and exercise philosophy. You know what I mean? See, and this is another example of what I'm talking about. Oh, somebody deleted it. Thank you. Well, I appreciate it because I'm just seeing whatever comes up here in the chat. Jordan Abi says Jay has a great point. Thank you. Appreciate it. Why though? Why do I have a great point? I also will ask the same questions of people who are like, I agree. All right, we got a caller.
Call from. To accept, press 1.
No
to
name.
Send a voicemail, press 2.
If you do call in and ask you your name, please give a name so that I can greet you properly. Aloha, this is JayDreamerZ and you're live. Who's this?
Hi, Jay. This is Justin. I'm a long-time listener to you.
Hey,
been
what's
following
up,
you
Justin?
since you
Good to meet you.
began. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying about the Guidestones. The content on them is kind of vague. It's not clear, like they're advocating for reducing the population, or if they're saying something more far-fetched, to like the population is already that low. But whatever it is, you're totally on point. People need to think about it. That it's not necessarily something that could be dark or evil or whatever, needing to be torn down.
Right. What are your thoughts on, like, have you come across the Guidestones in your studies before?
I've seen it. Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Never looked into it thoroughly beyond like what the content is on it,
That's
that
cool.
kind of thing.
So let me ask this question. What are your feelings about it? Just going off of just your gut and your feelings and your intuition, like, how does it strike you? Just the
My
concept.
feeling is it was just put up by some rich, influential, powerful person. I heard Ted Turner was behind it maybe, but I don't necessarily see terribly dark intentions behind it. I think that it's actually just kind of a symbol trying to put together a more optimistic and positive future, and their vision may not be right for that, but I feel like that was the intent behind it. I think people are way too afraid of, this one thing in particular.
I like that you said that. There seems to be a lot of fear surrounding these rocks in the middle of nowhere. I mean, enough fear that people are writing graffiti all over it and blowing it apart, right?
Right.
So there's some fear, there's some anger, and some hatred, which ultimately are rooted in fear as well. Right on, man. Well, hey, thanks for calling in today. I'm going to take another one.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Right on. All right, cool. So we do have a lot of different opinions in the chat. Let me see how many people are watching right now. I have a feeling like it's going to be a lot because there's so many different opinions. Okay, so there's, I don't know, right around 500 or so people, I guess. There's going to be a lot of varying opinions about this, right? And some people, there's all kinds of us out there, right? Some people are going to be extreme. Some people are going to say this. Some people are going to say that. I'm just going to share my opinion on it. And I like the Guidestones. I always have. I'm going to say, like, actually, that's not true. When I first learned about them, I heard the same thing as many of you did. Did you hear about the Georgia Guidestones? It's the Illuminati's 10 commandments. Okay, well, what if the Illuminati, the illuminated ones, the people in charge in our world are so intelligent, if we're going to give them that, right, that they can create these worldwide plans? What if they knew that we would have an apocalyptic apocalyptic scenario. All right, let's take another caller.
Call from.
DOS Metal One.
Das
To accept,
Metal
press 1.
One.
To send a voicemail, press 2.
Aloha, what's up, Das Metal One?
What's going on, Jay? I'm glad to
Hey.
talk to you.
Yeah, it's nice to match a voice with the screen name.
Right. Oh, so I kind of wanted to share my thoughts a little bit with the Georgia Guidestones.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to hear it. I want to hear as many perspectives and positions as possible.
I've had my experience, I guess, a little bit with looking into them, and they're definitely an anomaly that everybody questions. Of what are they? Why are they there? But coming across your findings and your theories, I kind of come to the conclusion, the feeling that they're kind of something set up for after the plasma apocalypse. It's kind of like the Ten Commandments of the new land, if you will, after the apocalypse happens.
That's kind of how I've also felt. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it at the very least, it took a lot of planning, possibly money, and time to not just erect these stones, because just setting up the stones is an effort, but the meticulous way that they were set up, right, lining up with the sunset and the equinoxes and the times of the year. And I heard that there's even, allegedly, there is a time capsule buried underneath it as well.
I've heard that. To add to that, too, with the placement of it, they were erected, I guess, pretty much in the middle of the night. Like, nobody saw anybody put these things up. There were no tire tracks or machinery pointed to putting these things up. Nobody saw it get put up. And then even afterwards, you would think that there'd be impressions in the ground of treads or something, picking those stones up, but there was nothing. So that in itself is weird.
Right.
Other findings I found was that there was a cube that they took out of it a while back that was kind of tucked up underneath and in the corner. It was a stone cube, and it had some dates and whatnot on it. I think there was a symbol, too, in Greek. I forget the symbol. It's been such a long time since looking into them, but yeah, they removed it and they pretty much smashed it with a hammer. They didn't find anything inside the cube, but documented what was all around it and whatnot. You could look it up on YouTube even probably to find it. And then the other thing that I would like to point out is that they took a drone and was looking over the top of those things at one point, and it looked like that somebody had climbed up to the very top and did possibly like an animal sacrifice up there. Just because there was it looked like a puddle of blood in the middle, and then it was streaming down to a point where it was dripping off the top of the guide stones.
That's creepy.
Yeah, for whatever reason, that's what they did.
Right.
But yeah, that's it. That's what I had to share about it.
Right on. Interesting stuff. Well, thanks for sharing your perspective on things. I'm going to take another caller.
Oh yeah, Jay. Take care, man. Goodbye.
You too. Aloha. All right, cool. I tried to adjust the volume. I'll be a little bit louder. We'll see how that works out. I turned the volume down on the callers just a tad. I just want to make sure everybody can hear them. So, yeah, the Georgia Guidestones have been blown up, right? Because of the Ten Commandments. A lot of people take this personally. It's interesting that they have been destroyed. I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm sure many of us are not surprised. Now, I'd like to take a poll in the chat. I want to take a poll. I have some emojis. If you like the Georgia Guidestones, put the heart emoji. If you do not like the Georgia Guidestones, put the emoji of the one-eyed monster with the little horns like I just put up on the screen. All right, I'm going to take another call.
Call from.
Mag.
Mag.
To
Mag's
accept,
on the
press
line.
1.
Hey, what's
To
up,
send-
Mag? This is JayDreamerZ. How's it going? Can you hear me? Nope, didn't work out. All right, I think he's calling back.
Call from.
Dark Light Empath.
Dark
To
Light
accept,
Empath.
press
Oh, right
1.
on, cool. Dark Light Empath. What's up, man? This is JayDreamerZ. How's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm worked up right now. Honestly, that's why I wanted to hear what other people are feeling like. Me, I'm very worked up at this because it's to me this is some kind of, I mean, I see everything as a sign and an
Yeah,
omen,
yeah.
as I've talked about, but how do you feel?
Yeah. Well, I could, this is the first time I called in, obviously. I'm a huge fan of what you do, but yeah, this, actually, I kind of felt, what you're feeling, and so that's why I'm calling in. Now, I did some research on that, and I don't know if I'm having a different existence over here, but it seems to me that I found that it was actually constructed for the Rosicrucianists. They had pulled the money together, and I thought that I'd even seen a documentary where they interviewed the guy that they hired, to cut the stone and to build it and place it and everything else.
Right, yeah.
Do you remember something like that?
Yeah, I totally watched the same documentary. It
Okay,
was pretty
I thought I was
informative.
living in a different universe.
Yeah, I think it was like the company or whoever had actually been hired to cut the stone, because there was a lot of secret and a lot of work put into trying to keep, all of the people involved and all of the workers a secret, so people couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, I don't think he even was real sure. They always used like middlemen and, like a money guy would. Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy. Okay, well, I'm glad that you're living in the same reality as me there. I didn't know if I was having another one of those experiences.
Yeah.
But now, what do I think about that? Yeah, I think it's, it's ignorance at its finest. I get frustrated in all the same ways that you do, where it's like we want to love people, we want to stay in that good vibe, but it's really hard when, it's like people run around like chickens with their head cut off. And having knee-jerk reactions to everything, and it just makes it so much harder to get the reality, the truth out there, But you're doing a dang good job, man. I'm really proud of you.
Right on. Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, thanks for calling in today and sharing your perspective.
Yep. And you take care, buddy. You just keep up doing the good work.
All right, I will. You too. Bye.
All right, you take care. Bye.
All right, if you're just joining us, we're talking about the Georgia Guidestones. They have been destroyed. For years, many different groups of people have I call it being lit on fire, okay? When people they hear about something and they get so overwhelmed with emotion that they have no reasoning, they don't balance themselves out, and so they tend to become, in my experience, destructive, angry, argumentative, accusational, and now it's resulted in destroying. So this is interesting to me. It's very sad. I'm going to be honest. To me personally, I'm sad because I read, like I was saying earlier, the signs and the omens of the world. When things like this happen to us or happen in our world, they can be interpreted. They can be, it's like the world is singing to us and we can interpret these signs and omens. They do have security footage. I do see, the watcher says, where do you guys see the security cam footage? I know that they had cameras, mostly because of this. So cameras were erected to try to deter people from coming and vandalizing it. So there should be footage. All right, we're taking another call.
Call from. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Aloha, this is JayDreamerZ. Who's this?
Hello?
Hey, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, how's it going?
Hey, this is JayDreamerZ. Who's this?
Hello?
Okay, it seems like we're having some problems. I'm going to go ahead and hang up. All right, if you'd like to call in, the number is 719-822-1415, and I'd like to hear what your thoughts are. What is your initial thought on not just the Georgia Guidestones, but them being destroyed? What are your thoughts on the subject? I read this as a sign and an omen personally. I feel like this was beautiful. I liked it. I thought it was great. I didn't have any problem with any of those commandments, and I've never been a fan of interpreting that first commandment as supporting genocide on a world level. So That's me. And I know that they had cameras set up because there were so many people going there and trying to destroy it, which is crazy. Of all the things in the world to go graffiti up and tag up and blow up or whatever, I could think of a million better things, but people made a big deal about this, especially right after they were created. We're actually going to check out some more information on it here coming up.
Call from
Brain.
Brain.
to accept.
Aloha, what's up, Brain? This is JayDreamerZ. How's it going?
Jay, what's going on, man? How you doing?
What do you think about all this?
It's interesting. Yeah. At first I probably had the same thought as everyone else. It's like, oh, this is evil. They're trying to reduce the population, and maybe some of that is going on. I don't, who am I to say? But, I look into like Manly P. Hall and people like that who, Freemasons who get maybe a bad rap because they're Freemasons. But I don't think people fully look at it objectively, maybe. And, our first instinct is probably to assume everything's evil or, trying is out to get us, And I heard something, quote, I think it was Manly P. Hall, maybe it was another Freemason or something. He said, like, when society is run by government or religious leaders, basically going down the line and saying how it always goes wrong. And that's kind of why there's secret societies, is kind of to steer humanity kind of in a good way without there being a face on the leading, group. Because then if there's a face that someone can be mad at, they'll be mad at it, So,
I totally
don't know.
understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Is this something that affects you, like giving you like a support vibe, like, yeah, I'm glad that they did it, or more of like oh, that's too bad kind of feeling?
I'm kind of neutral on it.
There's also neutral. I like neutral.
Yeah, emotionally, I don't know the whole story. I don't know where it came from. I don't know the intent, behind it. So I'm not gonna, try to claim one way or the other.
Well spoken.
But I just thought that was kind of interesting. It kind of made me look at everything from, I guess, like I just said, like a neutral, objective standpoint. Because, a lot of, like, all these symbols and, 33 is the evil number. Like, first of all, it's just a number. And symbols and, that stuff do have power and affect us subconsciously. But,
right.
Just because there's a bunch of videos of people saying how evil everything is doesn't mean it is evil.
Yeah, and this is evidence that whenever you get enough of those people riled up and excited over something being evil according to them and whatever group that they're with, stuff like this starts to happen.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah, and it's like almost ironic because you're like, oh, I hate evil people. I'm going to destroy their art.
Yeah. How about instead of like, they're like, oh, they want to reduce humanity's population. In protest, why not go have a baby? Like, why not go make a baby or something instead of tearing it down? I don't know.
Yeah, and I didn't know it had been vandalized. I saw those pictures you posted. That's kind of, I don't know, I got a gross feeling when I saw that.
Yeah, me too. Right on.
Like,
man.
what
Thanks
is
for
it,
calling in today and sharing your perspectives and thoughts.
Definitely, man. Take it easy.
Talk to you later. Okay, thanks for joining me. We're talking about the Georgia Guidestones. They've been blown apart, it looks like. And there's a lot of feelings in the chat I can see. So there's a lot of people that are saying things like, oh, good riddance, good, I'm glad, blah, blah, blah. I get that. I already knew that there's going to be a lot of people saying like, I hate it. And then there's going to be others on the other side. I would be remiss if I didn't take a cue from the last caller and be a little bit more neutral myself, right? I like the Georgia Guidestones, but I'm not going to jump to the extreme and say we need them. This is core. This is great. They were definitely put up for good reasons. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like I'm speculating the entire way. So I like to try to keep my judgment reserved as well. However, it's hard to escape. Destruction is destruction. It's destroying. You know what I mean? Destruction is self-evident. All right. So anyways, yes, I would like to know, instead of, I'm not really impressed by people saying like, F the Illuminati or whatever. I'd like to know why people think this. You know what I mean? Oh yeah. And some people are saying that it was like caused by lightning or something. I don't know. I'm not seeing lightning strike. I've never even seen or heard of lightning just obliterating, blowing things up like that. I mean, it does, but it doesn't look like a lightning strike to me. It doesn't strike me as one. But that's just my opinion personally. I want to hear your opinion. I've turned off the phone lines just for a second, just so I can talk and get a few thoughts out. I would like to hear people's reasoning, right? Reasoning is why we are here. Reason. Philosophy, to wonder, to talk, not to just type in a couple of like, 2-word sentence and just say like, good riddance or whatever. Why good riddance? Or, oh, too bad. Why, oh, too bad? You know what I mean? That's what I'm interested in. I'm not interested in debating. I'm interested in talking. All right, let's take a couple from the chat. We got TB who says, JayDreamerZ, I see it as a possible false flag to initiate their plans, possibly. Never knew. CERN was supposed to do something yesterday big. Yeah, I think they were supposed to do something tiny, actually. If we're being literal or technical or actual. Yeah, CERN. So a lot of people are talking to me about CERN lately. CERN, from what I understand, they're trying to find the smallest particles or something. I know there's probably way more story to it than that. But they're not, I don't believe they're going to. I believe that everything is fractal and that everything is infinite. So the further down they looked into the microscopic, instead of looking up and looking into the macrocosm and finding their place within the greater, they're looking down, and they're going to continue to look down because it's infinite. It goes on forever and ever and ever. And every time they discover something new, they're like, oh, wow, look at this. But they're always going to discover something new. Carlin Dufy says, I love your channel, Jay, but you are dead wrong. The commandments are bad. God scattered humanity after the Tower of Babel so that the commandment about one language is like when God scattered. Okay, so let's talk about that. First of all, thank you. I appreciate it that you like the channel. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm telling you how I feel. So you can tell me my feelings are wrong all you'd like to. However, they are my feelings and they are my own. They are not for you to approve or disapprove of. Obviously, it's not your feeling, though, so I respect that. The commandments are bad. Okay, why are the commandments bad? God scattered humanity after the Tower of Babel. So he's talking about the Tower of Babel incident where there was this beam or tower or column or whatever, ziggurat, that was knocked down. And after it was knocked down, humanity's languages were dispersed. So people could not understand one another. And here we have all of those languages which have been blown up. Interesting. There's definitely a correlation there, I would say, when reading the signs and the omens. He says, God scattered humanity after the Tower of Babel, so the commandment about one language is like when God scattered. I don't get that. I don't get how that's bad. I'm not convinced. I don't see that us all sharing one language and being able to communicate with one another is bad. I see that personally as being good. I feel like the more we can communicate and the more effectively we can communicate, the more peaceful we'll probably be. For example, if you could talk to cows, you probably would not eat cows. That's just one example here. All right, we got Oscar D, who says, Jay, destroying the stones helps them to see who is against them and expose their enemies on the internet. Could be, right? It could be a lot of different things. We're just speculating. We're exercising our philosophical right to question and to ponder and to offer up theories and ideas, and I like it. As long as we're talking about it, right? As long as we're adding to. That's what I like. All right, let me go ahead and turn on the phone lines again. We'll take some more calls. I'd like to hear your thoughts. What is your initial reaction to the Georgia Guidestones being destroyed? This is going to be the last few rounds of phone calls that we take for today, and then I'm going to turn off the phone lines, and we're going to study the Georgia Guidestones. We're going to learn a few facts about them. Joseph Brown's in the chat and says, JayDreamerZ, what is being said is not clear on the stones and can be taken in different ways. God is clear and concise about what he says. Okay, I hear you. I hear God in everything, personally. I don't believe that God, wrote a book or did any of that stuff. I believe God is everywhere, everything, omnipotent. And that's a good start. That's a good chat. We should definitely talk about our definitions of God someday. But for now, let's take another call.
Call from.
Hello, Jay. My name is Jude.
Jude, hey, I
To
appreciate it. Thanks,
accept,
Jude.
press 1. To send a
Let's talk to
voicemail,
Jude.
press 2.
Aloha, what's up, Jude? This is JayDreamerZ. How's it going?
What's going on, Jay? Am I through?
You're through. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay. First of all, while I acclimate to my voice, let me my voice with you. I'm on my roommate's phone because the audio on my phone broke, and so I've got an adrenaline surge right now because I'm very excited to share some of my information with you.
Okay, well, I feel very similar. I love meeting others who get very excited about things like this. I would love to hear what you have to say.
Great. I've been a follower of yours for some years, and so with this being our first conversation, I would like to tell you, if maybe you don't already know, that the Georgia Guidestones were erected, let me start over. The Rosicrucians were established in 1313. The Georgia Guidestones, the deed to their land is, the name of the owner is R.C. Christian. And this land was purchased in 1979. If you have a calculator in front of you and you were to calculate the years between 1313 and 1979, it's exactly 666 days.
Wow.
If you go to Revelations 13:13, you'll find the correlation in that all the names to be on the list of life will follow the beast. Any name that is not on this list shall go into wilderness.
Ah, I like that one. Okay.
And all the names on the list shall be maintained in captivity. Don't quote me on that. Again, I'm acclimating my adrenaline while speaking to you.
Yeah, you're good. I'm looking it up as well.
In 1980, March 22nd, aka 3/22, was when the Georgia Guidestones were completed. As you know, the 3/22 is the skull and bones. So when you can draw the full connections between COVID and its calling card of the 666 to the Rosicrucians and their calling card of the 666, understanding who the Rosicrucians were is massively important because they subscribe to what is the Auspice Maria system that they've implemented into all of our culture. This Auspice Maria, aka 9/11, IXXI, the true birth of Christ, 9/11, IXXI. When you draw the two together, you create a monogram. That monogram is the AM, the Auspice Maria. Auspice is authority. Maria is Mary. They give all their authority to Mary because Mary allowed her son to be sacrificed. Now, everybody knows the story of Jesus, but nobody knows the story of Elijah, Jesus' twin brother, per se.
Oh, okay.
This entire subject brings into... sorry, I'm acclimating to a lot of adrenaline while I speak. So
You're doing a great job so far.
But what this all is about is the F root. The F root. The F root is the root of function. All things have a root of function. The hinges are the roots to the door's function. So is the knob. Just as the fuel to my car is the root of its function. The root of our core function is plasma, aka gold, which is in our blood. We were created by, as you know, the Anunnaki, Nephilim, the fallen angels, who created us not to mine gold, which is a mistranslation of Zachariah Sitchin, but rather we are the source that is being directly mined for the gold that's in our blood.
I'm with you.
This is why we're not to. This is why we're not to tattoo ourselves. This is why we're not to taint ourselves. This is why we're not to take on the modified RNA and damage God's name by breaking his helix. The 666 is encoded on all of COVID because it bears the mark of the beast. The beast is only another word for church or faction. Sorry. So back to the root of function, the F root. The F root is fruit. So there's two sources of fruit. And just as there's two trees, there's the tree of life and the tree of knowledge. And it's understanding those two trees which gives you your difference. The tree of life is the woman's placenta, and the fruit that's on that tree is the baby. And this faction of IXXI, those that gave us our life, are all dating back to the allegories of the Bible, the two-bowl book, which explains through Eve the story of the pollution of this bloodline by her copulating with the reptile species. And in her doing so, she gave birth to twins. Therefore, there was two apples on her tree. Two apples. Our language is all encoded. Our letters are sigils. Their spells, they're sigils. So the A, as a pastis in your spoon, if you were eating alphabet soup, the little A is also, the little B is also the little D, is also the little P. The A is also the E. That's why the A and the E, the ether, can never be separated. And through separation, you create combustion, which is free electricity. All electric cities had electricity. But we were pulled from the electric cities and forced to live in tents. As Hebrews in tents is when our life became intense because we were removed of our free ether, when the A and the E were separate, removed. And it was in this time that our lifespan also became at a tenth of what it could be and should be, being that we can live like Methuselah to be nearly 1,000 years old. Remember, we were made with the same DNA as the Elohim. And the Elohim can live for thousands plural. So in understanding how, in this vessel, to obtain a 1,000-year life, is understanding the F root, the fruits to our function. And the F root is Abel. Abel. Cain killed Abel. Abel was found on the ground with no blood let loose.
Okay, time out. I'm going to jump in. You're losing me. I'm going to be honest with you. I like you, but you're losing me. So let's bring it back to the Georgia Guidestones.
Okay, back to the Georgia Guidestones. So the Rosicrucians follow the code of adrenochrome, the code of Abel, which is why we're no longer rowing or waiting. We are now forcing the new species to be born. This is all about the F root. It's all about the auspice. Au is the periodic element for gold and spice. The auspice, the spice of life, is adrenochrome. And when you go and you look at what the was encoded on the stones, it's all about purifying the bloodline and getting ready for the rapture or the reaping, for the Elohim to come and take our blood. CERN got turned on just yesterday and are already speaking more openly on the possibilities of meeting with aliens, as we say. And this is just preparing the populace, the cult's mind in our culture. This is just preparing us for this rapture, for this cleansing, this reaping of blood, because our blood is their gold. So the reason I speak on the 666 and the 666 years, because the Rosicrucians, the RC Christians, and what they are all about, the Hermetics and the alchemy, in conjunction with the rules of their religion, are all about adrenochrome. And the fact that the that the Georgia Guidestones being attacked, I think was personally, I just think so far, without even looking into it, that it was revolutionary. It was just the people that did it. It wasn't programmed. It wasn't encoded.
Okay, so are you saying that you're for, like, you're glad? I'm glad that it was blown up, or you're not so glad?
I mean, we're revolutionaries. We're patriots. Of course, we're glad. Okay. Of course we are. We want further momentum, but it's very poignant that monument is all of a sudden being brought into the foreground, brought into the forefront at the same time, which is the most important news thing still going is COVID and the vaccine and the boosters and what's to come.
I'm going to cut you off because we have been going for about 10 minutes now. But thank you for calling.
Jay. Sorry to ramble on. I have a lot to speak about, and it's hard to try to touch all bases in one run.
It's understandable. There's a lot of people saying that they'd like to hear more from you, and they want you to start up a video on your channel or something.
I have a channel. I just don't have help with it. My channel is Ryan Jude, RIAN Jude. There's only 7 videos there. My first video with 0 subscribers was the Nipsey Hussle reveal, showing the matrix code behind that, and it received 30,000+, or 20. I think it was 20,000. But yeah, I need help with my partnership because I have a lot of information that I want to share, but I just only share it with my clients. I'm a tattoo. I do tattoo work for a living.
Right on. Well, it's nice to meet you. Thanks for calling in.
All right. Can I send you some information on Instagram?
No, thanks though. I don't talk to people on Instagram.
Well, I'd like to share some of my own personal findings. They're rather fascinating.
Okay.
Involving so much stuff.
You can reach out to me on my website.
On just your YouTube?
Oh, no, I have JayDreamerZ.com.
Go to JayDreamerZ.com and leave you a message?
Yeah, go check it out. See how you feel about it. You do have to join in order to leave me a message, though. So.
I have to join, so I have to subscribe or something.
Yeah.
All right. Well, man, I have so much information, so much stuff that you would love to hear. You'll never hear it anywhere else. I have so many things to share, not just things that I've seen on internet and or my own stuff, my own really personal stuff. That's just extremely fascinating. I've reached out to John Levy. I've reached out to Martin Leith. I've reached out to everybody. Nobody wants to talk. You're the first time I've had to talk. So I had a problem acclimating my adrenaline.
You did fine, man. Thank you. I'm gonna have to let you go so we can take more calls though.
Can I tell you one thing before we go? There's 88 keys on a piano. And there's 28 phalanges or 14 phalanges that play those.
All right. Well, I hate that it had to come to me hanging up because, man, I try to be the nicest person, man. But I tried. Anyways, so let's do this. Let's take a quick break. Let's come back. What I'd like to do, I did hear from one person that supports the destruction of the Guidestones. I didn't understand why, though. I'm going to be honest. I did hear a lot about like how there's gold in human blood and that the elite are out there doing shots of adrenochrome and stuff. I didn't make the connection though. I don't understand. So if you are for this and you're happy about it and you support it, if you have good reasoning, I'd like to know what that reasoning is. Let's talk about it. I'd like to know exactly how other people are interpreting this monument. And I'd like them to physically, like verbally explain why it is so evil in a way that makes sense to at least me. I know like other people would like to probably hear that too. So I don't want people just to call in just because they're, they support what I feel about it, because I think I don't think it's terrible or good. I believe it is an omen. I believe it is a sign from the world. All right, we're going to take a quick break to grab a drink and go to the bathroom. We'll come back in a couple of minutes and I'll take the last round of calls. If I can find the intermission.
Around the world men's thoughts will fly, quick as the twinkling of an eye, and waters shall great wonders do. How strange, and yet it shall come true. Beneath the water men shall walk, shall ride, shall sleep, shall even talk, and in the air men shall be seen in white and black and even green. For in those wondrous far-off days the women shall adopt a craze to dress like men in trousers wear, and to cut off their locks of hair. They'll ride astride wreathed with brazen brow as witches do. On broomsticks now there'll be a sign for all to see. Be sure that it will certain be. And love shall die and marriage cease, and nations wane and babes decrease, as wives shall fondle cats and dogs, and men live much the same as hogs. Pictures alive with movements free, boats like fishes beneath the sea. When men like birds shall scour the sky, then half the world deep drenched in blood shall die. Then half the world deep drenched in blood shall die. For those who live this century through, in fear and trembling this shall do. Flee to the mountains and the dens, to bog and forest and wild fens. For storm will rage and oceans roar, when Gabriel stands on sea and shore. And as he blows his wondrous horn, old worlds die and new be born. Fiery dragon will cross the sky 6 times before this earth shall die. Mankind will tremble and frightened be, for the 6 heralds in this prophecy. For 7 days and 7 nights, man will watch this awesome sight. The tides will rise beyond their ken to bite away the shores, and then the mountains will begin to roar, and earthquakes split the plain to shore, and flooding waters rushing in will flood the lands with such a din that mankind cowers in muddy fen and snarls about his fellow men. And when the dragon's tail is gone, man forgets and smiles and carries on to apply himself. Too late, for mankind has earned deserved fate. His masked smile, his false grandeur will serve the gods their anger stir, and they will send the dragon back to light the sky. His tail will crack upon the earth and rend the earth, and man shall flee king, lord, and serf. And men will die of thirst before the oceans rise to mount the shore, and lands will crack and rend anew. You think it strange, it will come true. And in some far off distant land, some men, oh such a tiny band, will have to leave their solid mount and span the earth, those few to count. And those surviving this will then begin the human race again. But not on land already there, but on ocean beds stark, dry, and bare. Not every soul on earth will die as the dragon's tail goes sweeping by. Not every land on earth will sink, but these will wallow in stench.
All right, cool. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming back. That was just a short break so you guys can go to the bathroom. I know I did. Paul Pafaf is in the chat that says the caller was on point. No need to stop him, really. You can't fully explain something this detailed and far-reaching in a few minutes. Well, then don't call in, because this is not like, let's take one call and listen to one caller. So yeah, you get a few minutes. Jay just disagrees and says he can't follow up, and so he hangs up. Wow, well, that's totally not what happened. So clearly you weren't watching. All right, let's see. So we're talking about the Georgia Guidestones being destroyed. I see a lot of people in the chat that are like, good riddance. I'm so glad. Okay, hey, that's fine. Why? I haven't seen a lot of why. You know, I've heard somebody say that the elite drink adrenochrome and you know what I mean? All kinds of stuff. I don't see, someone help me out. Why is this so bad? Why is it that these rocks in the middle of nowhere in like Alabama or wherever the heck it is, why are these so bad to you? I mean, let's talk about it instead of just being angry and saying, yeah, good, you know, whatever, and being ruled by passion. Let's be reasonable. And let's talk about why it is that people think that they're so terrible. Gary Feltham says, Jay, I think the Georgia Guidestones are written in stone for many reasons, like the old saying, one. Also, I think we manifest reality vibrations create in the future. Very good. Lucian says, JayDreamerZ, I think Jay had a way more patience for somebody rambling than most people. Well, you know, it's not like I've been taking calls my entire life, so I'm still trying to figure out how, you know, what part I want to play and especially if I need to cut somebody off, and you know what I mean. Like some dogs were barking earlier, and I don't know if you heard them, but I was like, man, last time I asked the caller if I could let them go because there was dogs. They got all butthurt about it. Jay is cool. Thanks for letting him talk. Right on. All right, what else we got? Let's see. So I'm in the chat. I'm talking about the Georgia Guidestones. A lot of people hate the Georgia Guidestones. The only reason that I've ever heard that makes sense to me is Well, there's a couple. One is that the Rosicrucians seem to be involved. It's not like the name R.C. Christian is a huge riddle or anything as to what that really means. It's a pseudonym, and it represents the Rosicrucians, R.C. Christian, R.C. Crucian, right? The Rosy Cross, those of the Rosy Cross. And there's people that just automatically will have disdain for any type of secret groups or societies or brotherhoods or sisterhoods or anything. And I get that. And I get that they have reasons for that. And mostly when people don't know something, they become afraid. So I believe that there are two Illuminati. I don't believe that there's just one. I believe there's balance to everything. I believe that there are those of us who are neutral as well. And that the Illuminati is not some like certificate that you get by going through some whatever. It is the illuminated ones, people that have a deeper understanding and knowledge than most of the rest of us. Browsy B says, Jay, my idea is these are there as the reset is coming. The hope is survivors maintain this rule. That's also my feeling on it too. I believe that people set up monuments in order to survive the cataclysm so that the survivors can find them and have some guidelines and some rules, kind of like the actual 10 Commandments, kind of like various prophecies where religious people, the patriarchs of the Bible and whatnot, have been given instruction to write down instructions for mankind and to preserve them, one by stone and the other by brick, I believe it was. So, Fill Up says they are tearing it down to rebuild one. Open your eyes, Jay. Okay. I need to open my eyes. Megs F says, Jay, worship to death of most of humanity is a bad thing. Worship to death of most of humanity. I don't see worship to death of most of humanity at all. It's not implying that it wants most of humanity to die. It's implying to keep the number at a certain level. So I'm not reading into that. I understand that people have, and I may have at some point in my past a long time ago as well. Das Metal One says, Jay, if it is the elitists that put them up, it puts a limit on what mankind can do and who they put a limit on human development. Another thought is, let's just assume that the Rosicrucians put this up or whatever, and it's some evil group, and they're like, yeah, we're going to spend millions of dollars and time and energy and stuff putting this up in the middle of nowhere so that nobody can see it. And hopefully it will encourage everyone to just, go along with our plan to kill everybody, and we're just going to tell them all our plan, and that's the story. What if there is an opposition to that, which is like the good Illuminati or the good Rosicrucians or whatever, and they were like, no. Or what if the good ones erected it? I'll say, let me flip that around. What if the good ones erected it and the bad ones destroyed it? What if, it's just a possibility. It could be just some good old boys that were drunk after the 4th of July and had some extra dynamite or whatever, and they just were like, I hate that, we should blow it up. And then it got blown up, and it's not really that big of a deal. Because it was, it is a big deal to me. But you know what I mean. BCB says, JayDreamerZ, so does the text say the same thing on all tablets, just in different languages? I believe so. I don't speak all of those languages, but it seems that they do. Squirrel Sniper, hey, says, JayDreamerZ, it's on government property. Enough said. Well, I live on government property. Like, I live in a city. That's government property. I live in a country. That's government property. I'm not sure what you mean, though. Gary Feltham says fry. Okay, whatever. I don't know what that means. All right. Let's see. See, man. This person says you smoking too much weed. Okay, why? What? Like, why? See, it's hard for me. I wish I could have conversation with people instead of just seeing random people, trying to get 10 seconds of fame by, a quick accusation or a quick, cheer for their team or whatever. Like, let's talk. Does anybody actually want to talk? Is there anyone that is either, rooting this on or is sad about it or whatever, and you have reasons beyond your emotions for feeling that way? Or for, you want to actually discuss it. What's the problem? I see a bunch of rocks and they all have really good things on them, trying to encourage the world to live better. And the only problem I've seen so far is that people are interpreting that first commandment as that, as genocide, basically, which I don't interpret it that way. Okay, Otukuraku says, Jay, yes, we only see bad Illuminati ruling us, but maybe they have their own war between the ones who want to use the knowledge to rule the world and the ones who want humanity free. That's kind of like how I was saying. There's a balance to everything. TNA Plastic says, that is not government property, what you just listed, Jay. Okay, well, I mean, seems like the government sure owns the place where I live. I don't own it. And I have to pay other people, so to each their own, I suppose. Jayma Barker says, so that Jay sees your message in the chat, type in, thank you, appreciate it, Jayma. Orthodox Southpaw says, Jay, he means the difference between private versus public property. Okay, whatever. I know I don't own my house. I know I don't own the land that I live on. I'm not that wealthy that I can be a part of those types of ruling class or whatever. Okay, us poor people, we know that the government owns everything. And I say the government because I don't believe in many. Gary Feltham says, Jay, from earlier, just doing the basic math on numbers of human populations, it's obvious we would have had to have many resets. Yes, I think so too. Thanks, Joni. Appreciate you. Let's see, who else we got? Damn, the chat's going really fast. Let's see, we got Aaliyah. Aaliyah says, I'm with you on that, Jay. If there are negative polarized Illuminati, then my thoughts are, due to the law of correspondence, there must be a positive Illuminati as well. And that's my perspective. Right on. I feel very similar. Orthodox Southpaw says, sounds like if you disagree with Jay, you are unable to reason and overly emotional and extreme. Okay. Well, I'm opening the floor for you to talk. Here, let me turn the phone lines on so you can call in. It's not that I'm saying, like, hey, if you disagree, you're wrong. Because I'm not saying I'm right. See, that's the problem. A lot of people, they hear something that I say, and they'll say, you're wrong. When I didn't say I was right. I'm saying, what if? I'm saying, I'm saying, let's also consider. Those are the types of things I'm saying. So yeah, you can totally disagree with me all you want, but if you're not being intellectual about it, or you're not having a conversation or anything, and you're just saying the Georgia Guidestones are evil, that doesn't help out with the conversation. That doesn't help out with the research, does it? Okay, let me go ahead and open up the phone lines. Oh, I did. Thank God. All right, let's see who calls in.
Call from.
It's a surprise.
Oh, my.
To accept, press
you didn't
1.
catch the name. Aloha, this is JayDreamerZ. You're live. Who's this?
Hi, Jay. This is Alma.
Alma, hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good so far. It's an interesting topic.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's so great. It is a great topic. I'm glad you're doing this and taking the time. Thank you so much.
Of course, you're super welcome. Well, what are your thoughts? You called in.
My thoughts are that people are ready to see a big, giant change on Earth, and that they may be fed up with the way the government and or groups of elite people have taken things. So in my opinion, no matter who did it, it's still just like another sign of how people are feeling maybe overall. So to point at that type of a structure, to make a scene out of that structure, I think that it means something just underlying in society in general.
Right. No, I tend to agree with that too. That's why I was saying that it's a sign and an omen to people like myself who can see that it represents a certain energy or a frequency that is out there massively on a worldwide scale, being that there are massive amounts of discontent and anger which stem in fear worldwide.
Absolutely. Even the current subject of abortion, it's just dividing everyone. Even the anarchist groups of people are in complete divide over it, and people are blocking each other and deleting each other, and it just turns people away from community in general, which is we're the they, them, those want us. They don't want us to be working together. So
Right.
honestly, that's how I feel about it.
I love it. I love the perspective, and thanks for calling in and sharing it.
Yeah, the only other thing I wanted to do was just invite everyone to come to the Jackalope Freedom Festival in August, first 2 weeks.
Yeah, give it a shout out.
That's it. Jay's going to be there, so come and hang out with Jay and hang out with me. I'll be there too.
Yes, many people are going to the Jackalope Freedom Festival in Arizona in August. I myself will be there. It's going to be a fun camping time, and I kind of see it as it'll be my first time going, but it seems to me like a sort of, if I were to label it, which I don't like labels, but it seems like it would be like the Renaissance Festival if it were run by open-minded truthers or something.
Yeah, pretty much just like that. And this is year 11, so we're completely left alone from the government. And there's a free market. It's free to camp, free to vend, free to attend. And yeah, I'm really excited. There's going to be a lot of music and a lot of vendors. So yeah, come check it out and bring your goods and services.
All right, right on. Well, thanks for calling in. I'm going to talk to you later.
Thanks, Jay.
Bye-bye. All right, cool. Let's take some more calls. Who would like to call in to talk about the Georgia Guidestones? What are your thoughts on it? Try to keep the conversation to 5 minutes. That would be great, or less, just like Alma did, out of respect. Bear Christ, where in Arizona? Ooh, good question. I don't know. I'd have to relook it up. It's my first time going. You can definitely Google it and find out, though. Or you can contact Alma. I'm sure she'll be happy to tell you. Otakuraku says, Jay, people get crazy when you point out wrongness, like capitalism is bad. They go bonkers. Well, you can say that thanks to cell phones made by it, or if you think it's wrong, why do you keep using it? Right on. All right, hold on. Let me take another call here. Let's see. Ooh, who's it going to be?
Call from
Mike.
Mike. Right on.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Aloha, Mike. This is JayDreamerZ. How's it going? We're talking about the Georgia Guidestones.
Hey, Jay, you're doing awesome today.
Oh, thank you.
And,
super appreciate it.
a great topic. Sorry about all the bad talk on you. You're doing amazing.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I honestly think it's a warning because of it's probably the person that put it up. He's telling us our time's up.
Okay, so you see the Georgia Guidestones as being sort of a warning to mankind, saying, "Hey, be careful."
Pretty much, it's more or less
basically we need to change our ways.
Something that we should live by.
Right. It seems to be saying like, "Hey, this is not the way that it is. This is the way that it should be."
Yeah, pretty much.
At least in their perspective, in their opinion, right? Whoever they are.
What they're trying to keep us down in numbers, so we don't have the numbers that are needed to provide certain things. Especially if it's going off of our blood and everything, that's all craziness too to me. I don't think they're going to mine for gold in Africa for thousands of years and leave the remnants of it to take our blood. I think that's kind of bonkers.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting too. Do you feel like, I'm just going to ask a random question because I'm going to talk about it when I let you go, but do you feel similar to so many other people who seem to indicate that they believe that the ruling class of the world, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, is trying or would like to kill most of its own citizens, most of its own slaves, most of its own people?
That's about what I've gotten to lately, is that they want us to be more obedient, follow what they want us to do. And the more we're individuals and the more we separate, the easier they're going to be able to push their agendas on us. True.
How do you feel if you were to rate them pushing their agenda on us, like they're doing a good, like they're succeeding or they're not succeeding, what would you rate that on a scale of 1 to 10?
Roe versus Wade. There we go. There's an agenda. They want to be able to kill our babies. Now there's times where they can take your baby after it's been alive for a month and you can have it aborted.
Okay.
Things have went to the extreme now. Not only will you kill your baby, you don't even have to give it out for adoption. You can just knock your baby off now. All you got to do is, oh, I don't want it. They overturned Roe versus Wade, and it.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
It's just craziness.
Now, would you say that you feel like the people in charge of the world, or the entities that are running everything, would you say that they are succeeding in doing so, or that they are lacking, that they're not succeeding?
No, they have succeeded. We're individuals now. We're not a group anymore. We're individuals. We're all accountable for ourselves. We're not. People can do anything and push you into a certain way, but you're still stuck in the fact where you're going to be pushed down by yourself, even if other people are involved.
Okay, I gotcha. Well, did you have any other final thoughts?
No, I just think you're amazing for getting all your words out. These people that are trying to be hypocrites on you, they're just trying to depress you and make you stop talking, and you're doing a great job.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
Keep up the great work, buddy.
All right, I will.
God bless.
Care. Bye.
Bye.
All right, cool. Let's hear from some more people. What are your thoughts? This is the time. If you want to share your thoughts on the Georgia Guidestones, I don't want to focus on tangents or anything. So it's okay, that people bring up their own tangents during the calls. But my question is, if the powers that be want to kill everyone in order to control them, does that mean that they don't have control right now? Another caller.
Call from
Logan.
Right
to
on,
accept,
Logan. I hear
press
you loud
1.
and clear.
To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hey, what's up, Logan? This is JayDreamerZ. How's it going?
It's going great, man. How you doing?
I'm good. It's good to meet you. So we're talking about the Georgia Guidestones. How do you feel about all this? What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm probably the guys who put on their good riddance that you might have read in your
I did see that.
comment section. Yeah. I just feel like that whoever put that stuff up there, it's like they're playing God. They're trying to give you their version of what it would be like for man to rule as God. That's how I see it. It's like they're mocking the Creator who created everything, and only He has, the divinity to say what will be and what won't be. And to me, it's like, who are these people? What knowledge do they come from?
Right.
What is it they know? What is it they have over us to
Good
give
questions.
them?
I like that.
Yeah, that's about it. And in the world of them trying to divide us and conquer us to bring our numbers down, that just assists them in creating their new society they want. One world government, one world religion. I mean, some of it sounds pretty good, like there'd be less traffic
Right.
on the road,
That's a
stuff like
positive.
that. And yeah,
Less
a lot of
crazes
this
on the road.
abortion nonsense. Yeah, but then at the same time, they'd be better able to control us and manipulate us, because look what they're doing to the youth now.
What are
It's
they
all
doing to
about
the youth?
control. Well, I mean, they're like telling these kids like, oh, it doesn't matter what you are, or it's what you want to be or what you feel like. And then they push all this stuff on them nowadays, telling them, well, even though you have male parts down there, that don't mean that's who you are.
I got you. Right.
I think those kids are too young, and now they're completely mutilating these kids when they're not even double digits in age. They're single digit age, and they're already putting this stuff in their heads. And then
Right.
these kids, when they grow up, I hear all these stories of these teens that they hit puberty or adult, and now they're like, oh my God, what have I done? I got nothing down there. I got nothing. I'm like, what the hell, man?
Well, let me ask you a
So
question.
that's what we.
Earlier, you were indicating that these I'm going to call them commandments, right? These guidelines, these commands, or whatever.
Yeah.
That your perspective, if I hear you right, is sort of like they're taking away from the commandments of God, and I'm assuming that you're talking about like the Christian biblical Jesus and God and stuff and their words of wisdom, right?
In a sense, because I think everything's deliberately, diluted from books, because I think everything that is the media, the libraries, the news publishing, the news agency, the movies, the music, all of it is owned by a few families, and they know because they have all the data. Okay, they know how to manipulate the masses. I mean, for like television in itself, look at all these programs. Since I was a kid, I'm 55, and I look back when I was young, I used to sit there in the AM hours, and there'd be nothing on TV, and then the church on PBS, the church people would come on, and they would tell you how the music was satanic, and a lot of this stuff, the music videos that were coming on MTV and stuff, how it all had like a satanic connotation to it. Now I look at that and I'm like, holy crap, you play some of Led Zeppelin music. I have some of their albums. You play some of that stuff backwards and man, it's there. And when I was a kid, I was like, man, these crazy old church ladies, they're nuts. So
go ahead.
No, these people, they've been using all this to rule and form, when it was convenient for them to build their wealth off the sweat of our backs, okay, they grew our numbers, okay? Now it's convenient for them, okay, to maintain their wealth. It's convenient for them to bring down the population numbers, and that's what they're going to do, because they know they can't buy a big enough army to defend them, because it'd be like me and you going to fight for them. And it's like, you got your cousins and family, and I got my cousins and family. I'm not going to do that. We'd be better off taking them out, and then we take over. And that's what they don't want.
Yeah, they definitely don't want us united, that's for sure, to keep us divided against each other, bickering and arguing against one another. But let me bring it back to my question. I have a point behind asking you. I hear that there are these laws, we'll say, these Illuminati laws, guidelines, commandments, etc., and that they take away from the actual laws of God, which I like that point that you're making. The problem is, this is only 10 laws that are seen in that way, when we have countless, hundreds of thousands of real, actual laws on the books in every country across the world that, from my perspective, seem to do what you're saying that these Guidestones do. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
No problem.
To be honest with
I just
you.
mean how do you feel about the other laws and the other commandments that are man-made that we call laws in comparison to God's laws? Like, for example, there's laws that say you're not allowed to look at a moose when flying over Alaska from an airplane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or just, stop at the red lights. Like, it could be any of those laws. There are hundreds of thousands of man-made laws worldwide. I don't see a lot of people tearing up the Declaration of Independence or Bill of Rights or graffitiing all over everything or blowing things up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you. I guess I'll sum it up like this. Until the creator, steps foot on this realm, then I guess at that point I have a better answer, because I can't answer that.
Yeah, there's some things that are beyond us. Right now, I'm just speculating. That's all.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Hey, I love your show, brother. Keep doing what you're doing, man.
Thanks.
And
I'm glad you called in too. I just want to say that, because I did see a lot of people in the chat that are like, "Oh, if you share a different perspective than my own, then basically I'm going to hang up on you and I'm going to be pissed off or something." Like, that's not how I feel.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, I could go on for hours talking about this sort of stuff, and I know, probably could have put things into better context, but I'm glad I at least got some of my points across to you.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you called in. It was good to talk to you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. We're talking about the Georgia Guidestones. I will take the next 2 callers. Those will be the last 2 for today for this topic and this live stream. And then I'm going to do some screen sharing, and we're going to get into the specifics of the Georgia Guidestones. I know a lot of people don't really research it, and they don't know a lot about it. All most people know, from my perspective on, my experience with the limited amount of the world that I have had so far, it seems to me that most people just see that there is this tablet of rock that has 10 commandments, just like in the Bible, and people are jaded because it reminds them of the Bible, so they feel like this is some sort of a replacement. All right, let's see who we got.
Call from
Lance, I
To
think.
accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press...
Aloha, this is JayDreamerZ. Who's this?
Hi, this is Lance.
Hey, what's up, Lance? Good to meet you. How's it going, man? What do you think of the topic so far?
I think it's pretty hot-blooded from what it looks like in the chat and everything that's going on.
There's a lot of emotion going on.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to throw my 2 cents in there, but I'm one that's kind of on the fence about it, I know I've done my own research on it and heard things from only one perspective on how the evil thing and everything and how people read into the first little bit of it. And I can kind of see it because it says maintain at that certain number or whatever. And then like you're saying, and these people that are saying, okay, well, it's guidance for after the reset and everything. But I think the main thing in there is the maintain. So when you get to a certain, the population starts building back up, what's the line when it comes to maintaining it? Is it start killing babies because there's not enough mouths to feed, or you know what I mean? And then the rest of them, it kind of falls into, like, when I first read it years ago when I was doing research into it, I was starting to see like other conspiracy theories, like Agenda 21, how they want like everybody eventually to be in like mega cities, I guess, if you want to use an example, kind of like in Judge Dredd, how everybody's under one big mass thing, and
right.
And it kind of makes sense with the way the world's going with all these electric cars, but the electric cars can't travel that far without being charged. So, and that's just kind of how I see it when it's talking about it. I don't necessarily think it's like it's a bad thing. Like, I can see the benefit in it, but at the same time, what cost is coming from doing that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, it totally does. Those are great questions to ask, and I think that we should. It would better our situation to ask questions and then to pursue those questions.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's weird too, because like I want to say I've kind of watched your channel since like it maybe first started. I don't know, but I remember back when you were going like to the Denver airport and like pointing out all the Freemasonry stuff, and
right, that was fun.
You're going to Target and you're like pointing out their symbolisms and stuff like that, and then I don't know, man. It just seems like you kind of changed and like you have a different point of view now.
I have. And I am. I always will.
Yeah.
I like to change. I like to be steady, ever changing, basically. Yeah. I don't want to be stagnant.
Yeah. What kind of thing did you find that kind of changed your mind from like the Illuminati being kind of evil to like now they're trying to educate us about the plasma apocalypse and that kind of stuff?
Good question. My mind has not changed. It's just that I see further down the road. I still see the evil people. I still see that there are groups out there that are doing things that most people would consider to be selfish and malevolent and hateful and stuff. And I still acknowledge that. There's a lot of bad stuff out there. And there are groups behind bad stuff, just like how we have gangs and our own version of that outside of political and government aspirations. But I also saw beyond just that one side. It was too one-sided. It wasn't balanced. So when I purposefully allowed myself to be more balanced and more patient, to allow myself to meditate on these topics and allow myself to question myself so that I do like a self-diagnostic, you know what I mean? If I have any extreme viewpoints, I started to question my own extreme viewpoints. and ask myself hypotheticals like, what's the opposite of that? Is there a balance to it? And I found that there seems to be. It seems to be a law of nature that there's balance to everything, at least within the confines of what we call polarity.
Right.
So I was trying to be more fair, basically.
Yeah, and you found like evidence, like you know, people keep talking about the Illuminati and stuff like that, but you found evidence at least that makes you believe that there's like two sides within that group, like
Yes.
a good and evil kind of thing.
Yeah, and a neutral as well.
Okay. I was just, like I said, like I've kind of watched it and I've kind of not watched it for a little bit and then came back, and like I just kind of see like your appearance is a little bit different. Like you're wearing like darker clothes and stuff when you were wearing like earthly stuff, and I'm like, has he changed?
Yeah.
What's his deal?
Yeah, I'm glad that you're able to see that, and that's been my hope from the beginning, is to share not just like, you know, to get views on a YouTube video or whatever, but to share my life with people and my experiences as I walk it. You know what I mean? So that people
Yeah.
can hopefully glean from that to get something. You know, maybe it'll help
Yeah.
somebody in the smallest way. I never have wanted, you know, people to just fully agree with everything that I say, every theory that I come out with, every video that I do, my book, my website, anything. It's not for me to convince people of. It's just for me to say, here's what I have. If you'd like to look, you can.
Yeah. No, and there's a lot of stuff like when I talk to, and a big thing that I kept making comments about on your earlier videos, because I have young kids, and I remember one distinct video where you were going in there and it was like the poop emoji candy and the
Yes,
blankets
I remember.
and all that stuff. So I was, you know, and I was making comments like, well, what else stuff can you make a video on, like how I can show my kids, like this is the symbolism behind it, like look further into what they're trying to tell you. So I use a lot of your videos when I talk to my kids about like what's in music videos and things like that, and like, you know, look at what they're really trying to say instead of what they're just rambling on about in the music video.
Good point. And I also, just on a personal note, I try to take that into consideration, especially when I have those videos when I get kind of heated about something, or, you know, I try really hard to keep things without, you know, cursing and spouting off at the mouth, or you know, getting too extreme into strange topics and stuff, just because I also would like my children to be able to watch this one day as well, and that it would be the most purified, best version of what I have to offer that I can.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's good stuff, man. I love it. I really do. I really like the truth in movies thing. I love what you're doing, man. I really do.
Right on.
And I think a lot
Thank
of people
you.
do too. It's just things like this. It hits a pressure point on some people, and like, and again, some people, they just don't have the information. Like they know what they feel, but they just don't have the information to throw out. And for me, like when I was reading again, like the topic you're on right now, the Georgia Guidestones, like that's what I feel like when I read that. Like I don't see it as like they're gonna kill us all off or whatever, but like in the sense like maintain that popularity or the population. Like, well, what does that entail? Are we like, this is the number now? Anybody born past this, we're killing babies and doing all this kind of stuff.
Right. I got it.
And then, like I said, with the whole nature thing, like that screams out to me like Agenda 21 kind of stuff.
It does kind of have that flavor to it, right?
Yeah. So, and like you're saying, like the bigger look at it, maybe it is, you know, for the best as far as like overpopulation and stuff like that, because that seems to be kind of a theme in some of the TV shows and movies that are coming out. I think the White Rabbit one with I can't remember the actor's name at the moment, but Utopia, I think is what it's called. But he has a whole thing about like the vaccine that came out that was killing everybody, and like they have a big thing that he says he asks his family, like, what did you do today to earn your place in this overpopulated world and stuff like that. So that's kind of like they put the truth out there in movies and TV. So
that's what I've found too. All right. Well, thanks for calling in today. I super appreciate you, and it's good to meet you.
You too. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, I have turned off the phone lines just for a moment. At least it might be the last call, I think. I want to talk about something that some of the callers have mentioned, or at least alluded to, which is if this is a good thing, right? And I'm not even going to say that oh, I forgot to turn off the phone lines. Oh, my bad. Okay, let's take one more call then, to be fair.
Call from
John.
John's going to be the last caller for today.
To accept, press 1.
Aloha, what's up, John? This is JayDreamerZ. How's it going?
Hey Jay, how are you?
I'm good. You're going to be the last call for today, so I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
I just wanted to call again. I was enjoying your live stream and your fresh outlook. I often gather new information as well and then formulate a new opinion on things. You know what I mean? But it's interesting to me that one of the tablets on the setup was destroyed, and I'm not sure if that was the same one that was defaced or not. But
yeah, I mean, I can't help but to wonder exactly what happened. You know what I mean? Like the real story of how did that all go down? Was there a plan? Was it just spontaneous? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I wanted to just point that out for when you stopped taking phone calls, so to make sure that you would cover it when you were discussing it, because there's a lot of chat. So
a lot of chat about what specifically?
No, in your comments, there's just a lot of chatters, people commenting.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Yeah, it's definitely a huge topic. I know there's a lot of heated views on both sides, you know, especially given all of the gossip and rumors about how the Rosicrucians, who are linked to the Illuminati, and this came up out of nowhere. I'm going to address that too once you get off the phone.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's I don't watch the news, so I mean, you know, it's new to me that I was just scrolling through YouTube and there
right.
it was.
I was shocked.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was an awful, scary message, and as far as like, the societies and everything go, there might be good, there might be bad. I don't know. Maybe some of the things that they say are true about them, but I don't know. You just don't know. But
that's honest.
Either way, make life interesting. So.
Right on. Well, thanks for calling in, man. It's good to talk to you again.
All right. Have a nice evening. Hi, everybody. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. So let me say something about these Georgia Guidestones being destroyed. Okay. If you are in favor of it and you're like, yeah, good, I'm glad, etc. Here's my question. If the rumors are true that the Illuminati, the evil Illuminati and the elite of the world that want everyone dead, if they erected this in the middle of nowhere for nobody to see except for internet pictures and news stories, you know what I mean? What's the point of destroying it? You know what I mean? Like, is this going to be responsible for them enacting their major plan? You know what I mean? Like, is everyone like, yeah, now they're not taking over. Yeah, now we're not slaves anymore. We blew that apart. You know what I mean? Or is it just the symbolic act? Like people are like, all right, symbolically, there's a victory for us because we destroyed a tiny little monument in the middle of nowhere and did nothing about taxation or murder or unfair laws or sending most people in the United States to jail unfairly or limited lifespans or all kinds of stuff, right? So to me, I'm not getting that this is a huge victory in any way, shape, or form. You know what I mean? This is just some rocks that were destroyed. And if you believe that these rocks are saying or suggesting that there's this new world order just around the corner that's going to enslave everyone, wake up. It's already here. You are already slaves. The government of the world, worldwide, world across, is in control. Already. You don't have to wait for it to happen. You're living amongst, you're in the midst of it. So, I'm not celebrating. I'm not thinking that this is any kind of a victory for anybody. And that's my perspective. That's me personally. So it doesn't make sense to me like, oh, we tore that rock down. Good. Now we're not slaves anymore. Now there's not going to be a new world order. Now we're showing them who's boss. Okay. You know what I mean? Okay, let's see, you know, how this sets us all free, that we blew up a monument or whatever. I mean, not we, I didn't blow it up. That it was blown up. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't get it. I don't see it. All I see for the story of this just being an evil monument of Satan, essentially, is that first commandment, and that's it. And people are like, oh, look, they want to lower the population. No, that's an assumption on your part. They're saying to maintain the population. So if the population is higher than that, could it be that they're talking to a future generation when there won't be that many people? Yes. Do we have to jump to the conclusion that they are going to take matters into their own hands to ensure that the world lowers itself to that many people? And they're going to kill all their slaves? I mean, just simply put, how much sense does that make? You know what I mean? Like, if you're a slave owner and you got like 100 slaves working on your property or whatever, you know what I mean? Or we'll say animals instead of slaves, okay? Let's say you have 100 animals, slaves, on your farm, and you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to kill 80% of all my animals on my farm. That'll do the trick. You know what I mean? That doesn't make it's like, oh, why, farmer? Are they not listening? No, they're all listening perfectly. Like, I'm pretty much in control. I've got great production from all my animals. I'm making lots of money. Everything's good. Well, then why do you want to kill most of your animals? So I can control them. But didn't you just say you already control them? Yes, I did. But I want to control them more. Or like, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. You know what I mean? I don't get that those people want to destroy their own power source, which is us. It doesn't make any sense to me. What does make sense is the world is screwed up and upside down and completely out of control, and that nature itself will make things right. That's my opinion on it. All right, cool. Let's see. Let's do this. I'm going to do some screen sharing. Let's see. We got, where is it? Here we go. Oh, snap. All right, hold on. Let me fix this here. Oh, still doing it. All right, my bad. Hold on. There we go. Oh, man, it's all weird looking. Oh, it's because I changed the size of the page. There we go. Scooby. All right, cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to check out some of the specs on the Georgia Guidestones. Excuse me. When we come back, I'm also going to take I'm going to put a few more comments from the chat up on the screen. I have to use the bathroom. That's why I drank a lot of coffee. So we're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back to discuss the specifics of what exactly are the Georgia Guidestones and what are some of the interesting facts about them. All right, this is going to be our last break. We're not taking any more callers. So let me go ahead and remove the phone number here so that people don't get the wrong idea. Booyah. And I will be back shortly to talk with the chat about the subject. We'll be back in just a sec.
World stops spinning and you got no place to turn. Yeah. And when you grasp for a glimpse and the things that you never learned. Yeah. Then you take a little while to remind you of the one you were. Everything will be recalled, yeah, yeah. Dream a little harder, love a little louder, and everything will be recalled, yeah, yeah. places where there's no sense of time or space. Yeah. You don't need to pull yourself together and make pretend. Yeah. Then you take a little while to remind you of the one you were, and everything will be recalled. Yeah, yeah. Dream a little harder, love a little louder, and everything will be recalled. Take me back to the time of 85.
All right, we're back, and we're talking about the Georgia Guidestones that have just been blown up yesterday. And there's a lot of opinions on it, back and forth. Mostly a lot of feelings from what I'm getting. A lot of emotion, which is understandable. I'm worked up. I've got a lot of emotion myself. So I'm working. I don't know if you can tell, but on my side of things, I'm trying to calm myself. I've also had a lot of coffee, which doesn't help. But yeah, I want to talk about something real quick before I share some information with you about the Georgia Guidestones, which is my perspective. I believe this is a sign. I read the signs and the wonders that the world has to offer. And it seems to me that something like this was positive. At least that's how I took it. It doesn't mean that it is positive. It just means that that's my filter. I'm filtering it through positivity. I see the positivity behind it. I see the goodness that it's trying to give to the world. At least that's my perception of it, right? I don't know if it's good or bad, or created by bad people or good people or whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But reading the signs, this is encouraging the world to live more peacefully, to live better. And the world, it's obviously not the world, it's just, whoever did it. But the world has responded to the olive branch, destroying it completely, thinking that someone's using the olive branch to smack them and hit them and attack them instead of offering it in peace. And so, to me, it's a sign. To me, it's a sign that there is an apocalypse right around the corner, just as there always is, because it's cyclical. The people collectively have the ability, I believe, to trigger the apocalypse. So if you can manipulate the people, you might be able to manipulate the apocalypse. All right, so let's take a look here. It says the Georgia Guidestones are a granite monument erected in 1980 in Elbert County, Georgia. The monument stands at an approximate 750 feet tall, blah, blah, blah. That part's boring. Let me get to the good stuff. Let's see. So basically what all this is saying is that the monument is precisely made. Measurements to the celestial bodies, to the sunrise, the equinoxes, the sunsets, all that type of stuff. Now let's check out the history. It says here, actually let me just scooch this a bit so we can all see it. There we go. In June 1979, a man using the pseudonym, pseudo means false. It means fake or not true. Nym means name, so the fake name. Robert C. Christian approached the Elberton Granite Finishing Company on behalf of a small group of loyal Americans and commissioned the structure. Christian explained that the stones would function as a compass, a calendar, and a clock. So, if that's true, a compass, a calendar, and a clock have been destroyed and should be capable of withstanding catastrophic events. Clearly not, right? I mean, it's been blown up, so it's not indestructible. But the catastrophic events are whatever he was thinking, right? Whoever built this, they were building it to withstand other things, probably not dynamite being inserted directly into it, right? Now, Joe Findley of Elberton Granite assumed that Christian was a nut, a psycho, a crazy person, right? And attempted to discourage him by providing a quote for the commission, which was several times higher than any project the company had previously taken, explaining that the Guidestones would require additional tools and consultants. To Findley's surprise, however, Christian accepted his quote. When arranging payment, Christian said that he represented a group which had been planning the Guidestones for 20 years and which wanted to remain anonymous. Now, let's pause right there. When it comes to being anonymous, we'll just say secret. Same thing, right? You don't want people to know about you or whatever. I can respect that. There's people have reasons for wanting to be anonymous. That's fine with me. But unfortunately, many people jump to anonymous, secret society, Rosicrucian, evil. It's the devil. Okay. All right. Why? Why is that the devil? Because we don't understand it, because we have a lack of information, because there's darkness in our minds, so we project that darkness onto others. That's how I see that. Let's see. We got Christian delivered a scale model of the Guidestones. Where is that? A scale model of the Guidestones and 10 pages of specifications. The 5-acre site was apparently purchased by Christian on October 1st, 1979. That's an interesting year. From farm owner Wayne Mullenix. Mullenix and his children were given lifetime cattle grazing rights on the Guidestone site. Interesting. On March 22nd, 1980, the monument was unveiled before an audience, variously described as about 100 to 400 people. Christian later transferred ownership of the land and the Guidestones to Elbert County. In 2008, the stones were defaced with polyurethane paint and graffiti with slogans such as "Death to the New World Order." Right? Okay. Wired magazine called the defacement the first serious act of vandalism in the Guidestones' history. In September 2014, an employee of the Elbert County Maintenance Department contacted the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, when the stones were vandalized with graffiti, including the phrase, "I am Isis, goddess of love." Now, see, sometimes people, they want attention. They see something, they know everyone's looking at it or whatever, so they go and they troll. You know what I mean? There's trolls in the world that we live in today. In 2015, the documentary film Dark Clouds Over Elberton was released, in which it was claimed that the Guidestones were paid for by Herbert Henney Kurtzen, a doctor from Fort Dodge, Iowa, described as a white supremacist and supporter of David Duke and the Ku Klux Klan. Kirsten was a friend of Robert Merriman, who published Common Sense Renewed, blah, 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 blah. Let's see, what else we got? A Nobel laureate in physics who was also a white supremacist and a eugenics. So what are they trying to say? I'm reading this for the first time. They're trying to say that this has something to do with eugenics? Because I didn't read that. I actually read the opposite. At least that's how I interpreted it. So I'm not seeing that. On May 1st, 2022, Candace Taylor, a candidate running in the Georgia gubernatorial something primary, released a campaign ad calling for the destruction of the Guidestones. Well, isn't that a coinky-dink, right? May, June, July. So only a couple of months ago, some political woman basically hyped everybody up saying that we should destroy the Georgia Guidestones. I don't see a reason here, do you? Am I missing something? Where's the reason? Look, it just says that she just called for everyone to destroy it. What for? What's the reason? You know what I mean? Where's the conversation? That's what I want to know. I hear a lot of accusations and a lot of guessing, but where's the conversation? Where's the actual research? What's the problem? Interesting. And then it talks about how it was recently damaged when an explosion hit the stones, etc. Now, let's go over these commandments, as people call them, once more. I don't find any problem with them, but many other people do. It says, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. I'm all in favor of balance with nature. Maintaining humanity. Now, this is my thing. It says maintain. That means keep it at, which implies it is already at for whoever this message is intended for, that it is already there, that mankind's population, or humanity, as they say, is already there for the reader that they're intending this for. So if you're reading it and mankind is over this limit, it's a good probability that, if there's 8 billion people in the world, this was not intended for our time. This was intended for a different time when something has happened to humanity. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Sweet, I like it. Unite humanity with a living new language. I don't even know how people have a problem with that. What is the problem with uniting humanity so we can all understand one another? I don't get that. I mean, wasn't it like even the Tower of Babel, like that was a punishment of sorts, wasn't it? Right? Rule passion, faith, and tradition, and all things with tempered reason. I love that. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. I appreciate that one. I don't particularly agree at the moment where I am right now, because I have such a disdain for laws and courts in the world as it is today. There may be another version out there somewhere that may exist in our fractal multiverse that we live in, where it's fair and it's good and it's just and it's pure. But I'm not seeing that today. But like I said, this might be for a people from a different time that this was intended for, not for myself right now. Protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. I mean, ultimately, that's probably what it gets to when your population, starts to get way higher up. Obviously, if the world's decimated and you just live in a little tribe in the middle of a forest in the mountains and there's a few tents hanging out, then it doesn't seem like this would be applicable, right? Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Sweet, I'm on board with that. Like that's what I was talking about, right? Because the last caller was talking about how this is like, we should only listen to God and God's commandments, etc. So I get that. But I feel like we're not applying that same logic to the millions of other laws in the world that don't come from the Bible or any other religious book. And some that do. Balance personal rights with social duties. Okay, so consider the group, consider others, consider how your actions may affect everybody else because we're all connected. That's how I interpret that. Prize, which means cherish and value. Truth. Wow, imagine cherishing truth, prizing truth, holding truth to be a treasure for us, right? We live in an age where lies and falsehoods and deceitfulness is rampant. Prize truth, beauty, and love, seeking harmony with the infinite. And finally, be not a cancer on the earth. What does cancer do? It destroys, right? So what'd they do to the Georgia Guidestones? Destroyed them. Interesting. All right, the explanatory tablet. Now, it's not just the Guidestones, the part that's sticking up. There's other parts in the area. So we've got a tablet. A few feet. Let me make this a little bit bigger here. There we go. A few feet to the west of the monument, an additional granite ledger has been set level with the ground. This tablet identifies the structure and the languages used on it and lists various facts about the size, the weight, and the astronomical figures of the stones, the date that it was installed, and the sponsors of the project. It refers to a time capsule buried under the tablet. And then it goes on to say, but, am I being too loud? But blank spaces on the stone intended for filling in the dates on which the capsule was buried and is to be opened have not been inscribed. And so they conclude it is uncertain if the time capsule was ever actually put in place. Now, my theory on this is that they left those blank purposefully. That it's possible there is a time capsule buried underneath that land, underneath that monument, and it's a gift. Whatever it is, it's a gift for whoever finds it. But they left it blank. They left the burial date blank, and they let the opening date blank. Now, think about it. They said that they put in 20 years of planning into this, and it's done. So why would they leave it blank except for intentionally, right? What would be the reason for intentionally leaving it blank? Because the date matters not. If this is intended for survivors of an apocalypse of some sort, then they're not going to know what 2022 even is. They're not going to have a marker of time after an apocalyptic event that destroys most life on Earth or resets. changes life as we know it, right? If it says, if they come across it and they can read it and they do see the date 2022, maybe they're going to interpret that as 2022 years ago instead of a week ago. You know what I mean? And the date that it is left to be opened is blank because they don't know when the apocalyptic event is going to come. At least that's my interpretation of it. The complete text of the explanatory tablet is detailed below. The tablet is somewhat inconsistent with respect to punctuation and misspells the word pseudonym. That's also interesting. 20 years of preparation to include some misspellings. The original spelling, punctuation, and line breaks in the text have been preserved in the transcription, which follows. The letter case is not. At the top center of the tablet, it is written, the Georgia Guidestones. The center cluster erected March 22, 1980. Immediately below the outline of a square, inside which it is written, let these be guidestones to an age of reason. I guess that all depends on how you interpret that. What perception filter you put that through. You know what I mean? Because to one person, you can say good and it means bad. To another person, you can say good and it means good. It all depends on the individual who receives it. I read that and says, let these be guidestones to an age of reason. To me, an age of reason sounds good. I don't see much reason in the world that I live in today. I see a lot of discontent, disassociation, malcontent, anger, hatred, violence. I see all the worst parts of ourselves in this era that we live in today. So an age of reason to me sounds great. Now, others may interpret that as, well, the age of reason is however they want you to live or whatever. I get it. That's why I'm all in favor of an apocalypse where there is no they and it's just me. You know what I mean? All right. Let's see. What else we got? Around the edges of the square are written translations to 4 ancient languages, 1 per edge. Starting from the top and proceeding clockwise, they are Babylonian in cuneiform script, Classical Greek, Sanskrit, and Ancient Egyptian in hieroglyphics. You know what this reminds me of? Because I like to see the truth in the movies. It reminds me of the movie Time Machine. That's based on the book by H.G. Wells. In the movie Time Machine, or the more recent version of Time Machine, I should say, when this character uses his time machine to go so far into the future, he ends up in his same exact location, but thousands upon thousands of years in the future, where there are only a few stones and cement columns and destruction remnants, destroyed stones and stuff that still have the writing on them from like New York City and some other places. And the people look at those stones and they try to interpret it through their filter as to what it meant. You know what I mean? They have to learn this ancient language of English or whatever in the movie again. And it sort of becomes their way to learn the English language when it's already been far removed and lost and nobody even knows what it is. And only few of them can speak English. I mean, they do more people in the movie so that we can understand what's going on and they don't have to use subtitles. But there's a lot of truth in the movie Time Machine. On the left side of the tablet is the following column of text. Number 1, channel through stone indicates celestial poles. Horizontal slot indicates, okay, so that's just telling you that the way that it is aligned is very specific to the heavens, to the sky. Okay, that's pretty much it. That was a Wikipedia article. Let me go ahead and get rid of that now. Oops. Boom. Okay, cool. Let's just take all of that off the screen. All right, so in conclusion, not really conclusion, I don't like to conclude things, but we're going to wrap up the show for today. I want to thank everyone for joining. I want to thank you all for sharing your thoughts and your ideas. You know, ultimately, I'm just happy that we all got together to talk about it. You know what I mean? Instead of just leaving it in the dark. I like to try my best to shine light on things so that I can see it better or to illuminate it for myself. My hope is always that you all do the same thing. I hope that you got something out of all of the callers. Thanks again to all the callers, by the way. You're amazing. Every single one of you are amazing. I love it. I'm glad that you called in. I'm glad that you shared your thoughts so that we can put our minds together, so that we can communicate more efficiently, so that life can be better for all of us. It's good to meet you. And until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
So hard to fade away. I try so hard to fade away, but something's forcing me to stay. It'd be easier for me if I turn away to flee. Oh, but there's something holding on, the way of being long gone. There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Far too many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up. I know I should have done this, should have quit this long ago. Can't stand another heartbreak, but it's time to let it go. It'd be easier for me if I turn away to flee. Oh, but there's something holding on, the way of being long gone. There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Far too many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake up. Time to wake up, time to wake up, baby. Time to wake up, time to wake There's so many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake up, time to wake up. Far too many ways to escape, but I guess it's time to wake